In this video, what I'm going to share is how to have great impact within your organization as a leader by being able to deal with both the rational aspects of the changes that you're dealing with, but also the emotional impact that occurs when those changes happen. Learning to deal with adversity is one of the greatest attributes that a leader can have. In my case, I had a routine MRI that ended up being a near-death experience where I coded for 10, 12 minutes and was actually dead. And in that moment, people ask, well, did you see the light? Who did you see? I just saw blackness. But it was the most peaceful moment, the most peaceful time that I had. And in that, I saw how important silence is and how much clarity it can provide. So when you're dealing with adversity as a leader, it's really important that you take time to pause, look around corners, zoom out, and to sort of triangulate and kind of look at all the various perspectives that occurred during that moment. So first of all, in dealing with adversity, it's really important that you take a diverse, novel approach. What worked yesterday may not work today. What you know and what you've known doesn't help you maybe as you approach something that's more challenging. So in my near-death experience, what occurred for me was I had to really learn how to live again. And that's what I'm in the process of going through that. So now I've become very curious about my life and the life that the people that I impact. And so if you're dealing with issues within your organization, if you're dealing with issues as a leader, as a manager, or just as an employee, it's really important that you suspend your desire to hold on to the past and become really curious about the future. Because that's what you're doing. You have to look at, how do we move this forward? What do we need to do? And a lot of times where we get stuck is we want to hold on to what we know. And what's being asked of us is to open up a new door, a new approach, a new direction. If you really want to elevate your game, if you really want to become a superstar, become a really important listener. Carl Rogers, who's the godfather of listening and was my mentor when I was in grad school, talks about the importance of understanding yourself first and then understanding another person. And you do that through listening, to actively listening. Right now, people go into boardrooms, they go into meeting rooms, and everybody wants to show who's the smartest one in the room. The smartest one in the room is actually the one that listens the deepest and the most, and then speaks. We don't spend enough time listening. We don't spend enough time in the silence. We all go into a room, we want to compete, want to raise our hand, and the one who listens is the one that probably has the more clarity and focus. My system has been around for a long time, and it started actually when I was coaching a 10-year-old basketball team. And we were favored to win. And we found ourselves in a game against a team that we were 20 points better than. And we were struggling. And we managed to tie the game. And when the players came over, I looked at them and I said, the situation that we're in is laughable. So let's just laugh that we're in this situation. So from that, I developed this 5 L's. First L is listening. Second L is learning. Third L is laughing. Fourth L is lifting. And the 5th L is loving. And in that game, we actually wound up winning that game because we just laughed. That was what was needed in that moment. We needed to relax. We needed to just laugh and enjoy the moment and deal with the situation that we found ourselves in. We went on to win the game and went on to win the championship. But that moment really indicated to me how important laughter can be even in the most adverse situations. Everyone can benefit from the 5L system. We can apply the 5 Ls across the board, and you have to identify which L is needed. And in this case, I used all 5, but the one that was most prominent was the laughing one. But it may be listening, it may be learning, it may be laughing. One of the misconceptions, and there are several that I've run into with clients that I work with, is this whole idea of perfection and having the most ideal situation. Life isn't that way. Dawn Staley, who's the coach of South Carolina's women's basketball team, who I think could coach any team, men, women, or children, she talks about adversity and being able to put her team in adverse situations in the beginning of the season so that they can learn how to get out of that. So they use actually the 5 Ls, and I've never talked to Dawn about this, but they use all 5 Ls in her approach. And so being able to deal with adversity is one of the biggest, I think, areas in which people can work with. And not trying to be perfect, not worrying about making mistakes. Kobe Bryant talks about living in the middle, not worrying about if I can make this shot or not worrying about what happens if I win. He was constantly looking to learn about the next move, the next step. What can I gain from this? As a golfer, I'm always looking at how do I learn more about this shot. I don't worry about the outcome. It's called NATO. I don't worry about not attached to the outcome. I'm not attached to the outcome. I'm more looking at what is my process. What's underneath it is absolutely that, changing your mindset. I recently worked with one of my clients, and we were working on something she was struggling with within an organization. She was the president, CEO of her organization. And what we worked on was that her love level was low. And I gave her the example of how to increase it. So I said, imagine going into a bakery, and you walk into the bakery and you have all those fresh smells of fresh bread being made. But you go ask for the bread that was made 2 days ago. Who does that? No one does that. You want that fresh bread. And that's how we are as people. We want that fresh love, that fresh connection. So it's really important that if you want to have love impact your organization, what's the inspiration level? And so when you're in the flow state, you get really immersed in the activity, and you don't think about the hows and the whats and the wheres. You just do it. And you're in that moment where you're just not attached to the outcome. You're just in it. And when you're in it, that's when you find and you elevate who you are, because that means you're very present. That means you're very available. And magically, you will find an answer. And it could be one of the L's. It could be like I did. I said, oh, we just need to laugh. So when you're in the flow state, you're out of your head, and it's a combination of your whole being. If anything that I've shared with you has piqued your interest, you can reach me at jeromegreencoaching.com or my email, which is redferng@gmail.com. And I would love to have a conversation with you to see how we could possibly work together.